Hey, this is John Mactimas, which most of my subscribers already know that. If it's a little loud in here, I'm sorry. I'm just on my way to the doctor. Me and my son are just going to see a regular doctor. It's not for my son, it's for me, and it's not urgent or horrific. But I wanted to make a video because I wanted to say something about this since it happened. It has a bit to do with the alleged synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. And you know, these days, with the amount of false flags and hoaxes and the media bias, you have to say pretty much all of the information about it from major media sources. So any sensible person would have to say something like the alleged shooting and where that's going. And I think a lot of us would know where history tells us it's going. And I guess something that really bothered me, besides these comments that I heard from Trump about the shooting, where they were just the most ominous comments. And that's really funny too, because let's just take whites and the white male. There has been a very concerted attack on the white male for a very long time in this country, throughout the world, European countries, pretty much any country that has or had a majority white population. All kinds of attacks. Cultural attacks, which are nothing new. Historically, those are going to come. If an enemy combatant wants to defeat a people, they have to eradicate their culture. They have to break their spirit. It's one of the reasons why we're not called Germans anymore, like I am mostly German, or Irish anymore, which the part of me that isn't German is Irish, or Scottish anymore, or French, Prussian, Russian, Slav. We're called white because there's a force. There is a force manned by people that have made it their business to utterly corrupt all sense of culture that so-called whites have. They've done it to various white cultures and countries for centuries. But nobody's calling for whatever he's calling for, which, to me, the remarks that Trump made sound like an unabashed pogrom against anyone who dares tell the truth. This isn't new. It's happened before. Anyone can find out where it's happened and what the results of that were if they want to do some rudimentary reading in history. You are going to have to dig a little bit now, okay? You can't just take a college textbook history and find it there, but it's there. So something that upset me enough to even put my phone on and I guess get my 2 cents in, for whatever it's worth. And the person I'm thinking about, he probably will never even see this. But there's a guy, he has a channel. It's got like 60,000+ subscribers. It seems like his channel is shadow banned because even with that many subscribers, his view counts are abysmal, which is usually the way you can tell when a channel is shadow banned. But I found out about him just about a week ago, and ever since then I've watched a lot of his videos, and so much of what he has to say is really right on the money, concerning the topics that he discusses, and he's pretty fearless about not leaving anything out. Okay, he'll talk about 5G, he'll talk about vaccines, he'll talk about sterilization of children through their iPods and Wi-Fi signals. He'll go before school boards, city councils, and tell the truth. He hits flat earth. I mean, just pretty much about the gambit. And he does a lot of live broadcasts. So his channel is the Fullerton Informer. His name is Joe. I can't remember his last name, sorry. He also has a website called the Fullerton Informer. And I caught one of, he must do these live videos on his way to work maybe, or client to client, because he said he sold some sort of insurance. But he made the comment on one of those videos that, he definitely thinks that this attack on people's, and he doesn't tend to really narrow it down. And well, if you live in this country, things can be hard for a lot of people. It's true. But they're definitely waging more of a pogrom on whites, the white male, white reproduction. He doesn't really talk about that much. But he does think that this is all of these things, all of these evils, and he hits on most of them. He does think that it's very monolithic. It's very singular in its intent and its performance, and I agree. And the source, well, first off, the source for him is a spirit character that most people call Satan or the devil. I will tell you that textually, anybody who's spent enough time in the text could make a very good argument a few different ways. Spiritual character, person or people, really could be made in a lot of ways because, for instance, Shaitan from the Old Testament is a very generic term, and it's used for various characters. It's not singular. I promise you it's not. Anyways, and then past that, I guess as its human agent, he usually points at, Rome, the papacy, Jesuits. And I understand that. That's where I was a long time ago. But, I kept digging, and I refused to decide that I had the answers. And new information came to light, and I had to change a lot of those beliefs. What are you going to do? I mean, isn't that part of progress? But like a few days ago, I believe it was a few days ago, it was one of his live streams, and he said that the idea that all of this was coming from a certain specific people group. I don't remember if he said he just couldn't see it or if he just thought that was incorrect. Something to that effect. And I guess with everything I've seen, all I've experienced, all I've read, everything I know about the Bible, I think that's unrealistic. I think you have to have a preconceived theology and doctrine to strongly maintain that, because that's what I had to maintain during the time that I believed that it was actually just a bunch of individuals, most thing that came together with a kind of a religious bent in a sense, and they just decided that they wanted to go secret and somehow, I guess initially, bring the Protestant world back to the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, that's what went wrong, right? Because now they run the place. I wonder what went wrong. Hegelian dialectic is a new phenomenon. Then you'd be really confused. What happened? If you don't think the Hegelian dialectic is a new phenomenon, and you believe that it has been being used by certain people for quite a long time, then you could completely understand how a crisis, such as everything that was going on with what we want to call the Protestant movement, which consisted of so many smaller pieces kind of added up. And then wouldn't you know it, this really ambitious guy from a certain kind of family in Spain with the name Lopez and some special folks that backing him up, came to Pope Paul and said, well, I got a plan. I can make this right. And if people don't think that's one of the most classic Hegelian dialectic plays, I can't help you. But, you know, I mean, we all have to start out somewhere, don't we? The thing is, Joe is so well informed on so many things that I think the only thing that could keep somebody at that point where, you know, the papacy and all that idea is just because they haven't either spent the time really looking beneath the surface of even those ideas, which that'll happen. I spent a long time just idling there. Or it's because you have a conceived doctrine or maybe a preconceived ideology that's kept you stuck and you can't get forward. I'm not sure what it is, but he's probably still live streaming right now. I turned on his live stream, and his live stream was called something like "This America is a Dangerous Place to Live." And I think he actually started out with his root being the alleged Pittsburgh synagogue shooting, but he completely deflected. He entirely deflected. That was covering it in the way that they were covering it. How likely it is that agents of the deep state were involved, and how much of certain people groups have already invaded, taken over at least good-sized portions of the deep state. How owned Trump is by certain financial interests. Yeah, Trump was a real estate mogul in New York City, and you know that he was allowed to operate unhindered in New York City. What's below the surface of certain doctrines he may have, or spiritual beliefs that he may have adopted, and just hadn't looked any further beneath that. Because he can be very influential and very charismatic. And I had a hard time even believing that he was quoting these rabbis who were making statements against free speech. The statements they were making was laying the groundwork to continue the pogroms against the white male, the white family, because all they'll call us is white. They won't call me German. They know I am. And I'm sure they hate me all the more for it. But he wasn't even putting their statements in context. Because they were saying it all starts with speech. These hateful things, it all starts with speech. Now, if a Jesuit had said that, he'd be on it like white on rice. But why is he deflecting? Because a rabbi said it. I don't like the way that things are going one bit. And to be completely honest with you, I've had to give a lot of really deep, considerate thought to even allowing the perpetuation of certain voices in what is called Christian identity to keep rolling on my channel or anything that I, because I don't entirely agree with everything that they say. I had to entirely rethink these ideas that Richard Kelly Hoskins had written in his newsletter that I was reading about the Phineas priesthood and what the real actual factors of the Phineas priesthood were. I had to rethink all of that. You know what? After rethinking it, I think that RKH is wrong. Well, I'll get to that later. So if you guys haven't, please go check out the Fullerton Informer. Joe has a lot of remarkably excellent information on that channel. He really does. And he's obviously somebody who proactively does a lot of things, which that's the more important thing, to be proactive. Because I don't think any channel who offers criticism of anyone in a constructive way, what they're all going to have to repeat, even though I'm sure all of us have in the past, we're going to have to repeat that we aren't suggesting violence against anyone. What we are suggesting is that it looks like, with the kinds of policies that these politicians of ours and others are really, really pushing to get past, that they're looking to do violence on us, people telling the truth. And I would ask, if Joe ever watched this, I would ask if he believes that often quoted statement they attribute to Voltaire. I don't know if it was Voltaire who said it or not. They attribute it to him. If you want to find out who's controlling things, understand who it is that you cannot criticize. I hope you people all have a good day.